Hi, I'm Chris from Airwindows. Long time ago in the heart of Texas, a magical man with a sound engineering gift set out to deliver to the sweetest guitar twanger in all of Texas, the Reverend Billy Gibbons, magical gifts that would color his tone and bring glory to the Lone Star Estate. And this is probably not how he did it. But some time ago, a long time ago, I set out to try to figure out what was going on in some of those fantastic ZZ Top tracks where there was just a texture around things, like a real dimensionality to it all. And I thought I would play around with delays and stuff because it seemed to me that maybe what he was doing, maybe what the glorious Mr. Terry Manning, who will never tell you these things, was doing, had something to do with delays, echoes, acoustic environments, things like, say, if you take a microphone and you have a object that reflects sound and you can place it next to the microphone, you'll get a difference in the sound because it's reflecting frequencies that are high enough to fit within the size of this if this was a pressure zone microphone. Like if this was a pressure zone microphone, it would be a very small surface. So it would be just this insane high shelf. You'd only get the reinforcement at this size. And since it was being used as a reflector, it would reflect the sound to the microphone. And then you'd get what's essentially a high frequency reflection that is a time delay between you, the reflection, and the mic. And you get a comb filtering effect. And that's like a sort of flangey type thing, and it thickens and colors up the tone. Well, here's what I did with Hombre. And Hombre is the plugin designed to do a set of tonal balancings where you've got a comb filtery type thing and you've got an inverse comb filtery type thing, and they're sort of combining together in a mysterious way to give you much the same tonal balance as before, but there's just a layer of cream on top of it. Here, I'll show you. I'll turn it on now. What do you think? Off? A little plain, huh? Let's turn it on. Now, naturally, this makes everything sound more distant because it's more diffuse, but it's a really tightly arranged set of comb filtery behaviors and actions. And as you can hear, there's this like fluff to it. I designed it to sound kind of like the records that I love. You tell me. Whether it sounds anything like that. And then we've got controls. I'll increase the intensity now. Now you wouldn't do that, but that's full on. Basically, it's like a dry wet type thing, and that is full on intensity. Let's no difference here, but then as we start bringing it in. Now the real reason that that's there is in case you wanted to fiddle with the voicing, like you're going, this is on my guitar sound, and it's giving me kind of the texture I want, but I want to dial it in a little bit more closely. You'd do something like this. You would go intensity, and then start playing with it. See, there I got a little sort of hook on the edge of the rhythm guitar in there. So what I can do is dial it into that. And then go back to, say, my 0.5. And now this is the difference that I have between the one and the other. Listen to that rhythm guitar, which is supposed to become a little more twangy. Sounds kind of plain. It'll come back again with the twanginess again. And that's how it's done. You crank up intensity until it's super obvious and then fiddle around until the flavor seems like the kind of thing that you're going to want to add. And then you're going to want to take the intensity right back down to, I'm thinking 0.5 or less. I've got it at 0.5 as a sort of calibrated beginning sound. But if it's just too diffuse that way, because it's pretty fluffy. At 0.5, the default, it's pretty fluffy so you can hear what it's doing, but we can take it back until it's much subtler than that. For instance, going for a sort of high glittery thing on the cymbals there. And this is a fairly low CPU, other than it running a delay buffer, but it's a fairly low CPU thing. It's fairly simple. So as such, you could have a separate thing. If you wanted to have that little twinkle on the cymbals and you dial in the cominess just right, you do that, then you take the intensity right down and start bringing it in. That's dry. That is 0.5, which is probably too much. So what we'll do is we'll pull it back a little. I like the twinkle there. And so that's a nice, pretty ride cymbal sound going on. And if we turn it off, it's blockier, it's just more solid, it doesn't sound as magical. But here's your magical. And if you wanted to mess with people, what you could do is keep this going on for most of the time, and then at some point, move this, and it'll be a strange, unsettling behavior. That was maybe a little bit too subtle. So what I'll do is give it to you at more than 0.5. Or indeed, super exaggerated. there's Hombre. Back when I first put it out, I was real cagey about that because the thing is that those ZZ Top guys are notoriously cagey and will never tell you their secrets ever. Closest I can come up with is things like suspecting they had something going on with perhaps audio reflectors that change the sound because the sound is reflecting off of the microphone and being reinforced in different ways. By contrast, this would be a much lower frequency cutoff to do this. But this is really just guesswork. And it's guesswork based on some of the things that the classic rock recordists always did, like recording things in rooms or against different surfaces, in different situations. Acoustic stuff like that causes these kinds of cancellations. So what Hombre does, years later, now it can be told, nobody will ever tell the real stories of the ZZ Top stuff, but what Hombre does is it subtly introduces some of those cancellation effects in such a way that it's not going to either drastically boost or cut the extreme lows. It's not creating a huge flangey type sweep, but it is making the audio more complicated and diffuse in a particular controlled way. And it might just be a secret weapon for some of you. I mean, sometimes the best secret weapons are real simple. And this is one where I dialed in the way that the tone works. Just kind of like this here. No big change in the lows. There's the added additions and cancellations and stuff, but the idea is you dial in some kind of area of sparkle and then add the magic sparkle to your sound so that it'll be just a little bit more diffuse, a little more textural. And that's Hombre. I hope you like it. Thanks.